You know him, you love him. This is the Damage Report, basically an offshoot of the Young Turks. And it didn't take them long to weigh in on Kyle Rittenhouse's recent celebration extravaganza in Arizona. As you may know, Kyle went down there, had a fantastic time, was applauded to no ends of the earth, and as a result, he sickened every leftist out there in the country. Well, the Damage Report wants to tell you what they think about it. Unfortunately, they're kind of right. Hello out there. I am trying to get through.
With his powerful brainwaves cradled in the warmth of reasoning, it's time for Johnnie Walker Dread to straighten you out on a thing or two. Emanating all the way from exciting Las Vegas, Oklahoma, it's the Johnnie Walker Dread Show.
Sorry, I wasn't doing this because of him. I was doing it because of the whole extravaganza taking place here. It was a bit much. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. But essentially, he was treated like a rock star, and hey, can't blame him for loving it. I would too.
So that was not like WrestleMania or whatever, although I guess it's not impossible to imagine that he would come out to cheers at some sort of wrestling event. But that was the Turning Points America Fest or whatever. And Kyle Rittenhouse, an individual who everybody knows only because he decided to put himself in a position where he would kill multiple people.
Well, that's not really quite fair. A lot of people know him because he defended himself and stood up for his community. But who's being nitpicky here?
Came out to that crowd, Nina, to raucous applause. They love him. They really, really love him because he killed people and got away with it.
Well, that's not why they love him. Come on, let's be fair. You know that's not the case. People love him because they see him as a symbol of somebody who stood up to the media, stood up for his community, defended himself. And so you have all of this Second Amendments and self-defense rights floating around here. That's what it's all about. They're not loving him because he killed people.
But don't be like weird and irrational about the state of the Republican Party and the conservative movement. It's not that they're like bloodthirsty fascists who long to kill their political opponents or anything. Nina, they just love killers. They love vigilante killers.
Based on what? One event. Those who love Kyle felt that he had no choice but to kill the people that were attacking him. And we all know that, and I think they do too.
And they are their new celebrities. Go out and kill as many people as possible, and you too might get to hang out with Matt Gaetz and Charlie Kirk or something.
It definitely sends the wrong message. Even if you believe legally, he was in the right. This is really horrible.
You know what? Tend to agree with her. I don't like this at all. It does send the wrong message, in my opinion. We'll talk about that a little bit more here.
And it's just going to reinforce the behaviors that they are exhibiting heretofore. So this is not new. Remember, even President Donald Trump said that he could go out on Fifth Avenue, I believe. I think it was Fifth Avenue. That he could shoot somebody and commit murder and get off. So
nobody took him seriously. He wasn't meant to be taken literally there. He wasn't going to actually go out and shoot people. Okay, he was just coming up with some metaphor of some sort to show how much devotion his customer base is.
Here we are. I mean, the heroes that they're picking, it makes no sense to reinforce this and to make it seem like he was somehow a martyr, which is not the case.
Yeah. Well, it makes no sense for our value system.
Yeah.
Right. It doesn't make any sense for your values. No. Who are the people you extol? Let's see here. Fentanyl addicted, domestic abusing child rapists. Okay. You have all these parades for people, and almost every time to a person, the people you're out marching for have long criminal records. In fact, the bigger the criminal record, the longer the criminal record, the more you praise them, the bigger the statues you create for them. and the larger the murals you paint for them. Go down the list. Almost everyone that you praise endlessly turns out to be a real scumbag. And that begins with George Floyd. Hey, look, man, I'm not saying that George Floyd wasn't murdered, but I am saying he's not a good guy. He's a criminal, and yet you praise him. And then also, how about Jacob Blake? You want me to go through his criminal record? And yet you riot and protest like crazy for these people. If there's somebody who doesn't have a long criminal record, you don't do squat for them. What about Philando Castile? No riots, no marches, didn't have the criminal record backing him. That's who you guys love.
For there, I think it makes some sense. But we're gonna play a little bit more of that video, and then we'll talk.
Okay, all I can say is I'm glad I wasn't there. This is kind of embarrassing. It kind of reminds me of the time when my friend dragged me down to the theater to go watch Rocky 3 or Rocky 4 or something, I can't remember. And then Rocky 1 and all the little kids, 11, 10-year-olds, we all screaming, hey! And you felt like you were yourself was like 10 years old. It's a little bit much. I can't do it. I just can't.
Yeah, so we're not going to play anything of whatever he said or whatever because he doesn't know anything and his opinion doesn't matter. But
his opinion doesn't matter, but you'll sit and listen to Jacob Blake all night long.
A symbol, he certainly matters, and the right has established through the course of this year two symbols of their movement, two people that they go crazy for. There's the woman who was killed on January 6th and the guy who killed a couple people at a protest. Because that is what this cult is about. People who are willing to kill for the movement and people who are willing to die for the movement.
Yeah, he who comes in and claims all about women's rights, but is perfectly willing to overlook all domestic abuse crimes and rape crimes when it's convenient for you. When it's somebody you think is politically aligned to your values, you completely gloss over it.
It is a cult of death. And look, you can say, well, you're just a dumb lib. You're just like projecting that. Who are they cheering for at these events? What do you think? Like Mitch McConnell's not going to get cheers like that. They bring out killers. They put up the photos of people who were killed because they believe Donald Trump's insane conspiracy theories. And again, I'll say the same thing that I've said every step along this way. We were told, how dare you imply anything about Kyle Rittenhouse's politics? How dare you imply that you know what he was thinking when he decided to go to Kenosha? And then he did a documentary with Tucker Carlson, and he hung out with Charlie Kirk, and he hung out with Steven Crowder, and he hung out with Glenn Beck in the Blaze, and now he's going to these conservative things. It's looking a little bit less crazy to think that there might have been some sort of political motivation to all of this. What do you think, Nina?
Yeah, no, I mean, there's no doubt, and we don't have to be naive about it.
Yeah, you are going to be naive about it, but that's okay, because I think he actually scores a point here. When I've engaged in arguments with people, inevitably, they always talk about Kyle going down to the Kenosha riots because he was politically motivated. Well, guess what? All of these interviews and stuff just reinforces that notion. It's not Kyle's fault, okay? He's going to one event after another where they praise the hell out of him. He walks out and they're shooting fireworks and screaming and hollering, going, ah! I mean, what 18-year-old kid wouldn't want to go to those things? I would. Hell yeah. I don't blame them for going to these things. No 18-year-old could turn them down. But somewhere along the line, whoever's doing this is not good. Look, I defended that kid because he defended himself, because he went to Kenosha for the right reasons. Because I knew deep down what kind of kid he was. A really good kid, but he's no Trumper. He's no white supremacist. But these events and stuff that he's going to is just making it really much more difficult for us to defend those criticisms. When they say, well, you claim that he didn't go there out of any concern for politics, how do you explain Tucker? How do you explain that conference? It's kind of hard to respond.
That is exactly what it is. And again, to reinforce that there is not some type of consequence, not even remorse for what happened, is again, the right is conflating so much when it comes to this. They're making it, they're, to me, they believe that this is patriotic. What Rittenhouse did to them is a form of patriotism.
She's got another good point there about the remorse thing. Look, I don't feel that he needs to have remorse for what he did. He doesn't need to feel guilty for it. But people blasted me all day long when I said that Kyle should keep the gun. They told me, now that gun represents killing, and you can't have that because what he did. But then again, he's out there going to one meeting after another where they're extolling the virtues of the fact that he shot a bunch of bad guys. It's kind of hard to coalesce those two views, okay? And again, not Kyle's fault. He's not doing this. Other people are, and they should know better, and they should be ashamed of themselves.
That's a sad place to be.
Yeah, because sort of traditionally patriotism is supposed to be some sort of thing about what you've done for the country. You've sacrificed something, but Donald Trump has taken over that position. What will you do for Donald Trump?
Now you see how they've done it? They've taken these meetings and they've turned this thing into Trump, Trump, Trump. I was afraid of this, and now it makes it more difficult for us to defend Kyle based on what actually happened. Instead, it's Trump, Trump, Trump. And if you defend Kyle, you must be one of those Trumpers. I'm sorry, but it's not true. Most of the people I know who defended him are not Trump fans at all. But it's all about optics, and the optics, in my opinion, are not very good right now.
What will you do for that movement? And it's not even like that they totally have to just like these conservatives are sitting at home trying to come up with what to do. This sort of encouragement to vigilante violence during the protest was going on for literally months. He's just one of several people who decided to act on it. He's not the only one. There were other people who were attacking protesters, and there were right-wing provocateurs
attacking protesters like Jojo Rosenbaum. In his mind, Jojo Rosenbaum is a protester, an innocent guy who simply went to the rallies there, and then that evil Kyle Rittenhouse attacked him. Again, the fact that Jojo Rosenbaum is a child rapist, domestic abuser, heroin addict means nothing to this guy. He's a hero, and he's more than willing to overlook all those crimes that he did. Joseph Rosenbaum hurt a lot of people. He hurt at least 5 kids, maybe even more, that will never grow up to be normal or at least be able to get away from their past because of him. He got Anthony Huber shot. He got Gage Grosskreutz crippled. He almost ended up sending one kid to a life sentence. He almost got another kid with 16 years in jail. One dude did all of that horrible stuff, and to him, he's a hero.
Going and killing cops to try to start a race war and those sorts of things. He's the one that they've plucked out of it because a jury said that what he did was totally cool. So they love that. They love the official recognition of their acts as being okay.
Official recognition, is that what you're calling a jury decision? It wasn't merely a jury decided it was okay. It was 12 people on the jury unanimously looking over the evidence and declaring him not guilty. Don't try to diminish it. The evidence pointed to his innocence. And it wasn't like the jury just decided to go back there for half an hour, and then come back with a not guilty verdict because they really deep down wanted Kyle to get away with it. They deliberated for a long time. They examined the evidence very thoroughly. They have much more access to the evidence than you do. And they all unanimously decided not guilty. That's more than just simply official recognition.
That's what they want to see. And I also want to point out, by the way, we're going to do a few more videos from that event. But that event just strikes me as so amazing. They did that pan, you saw that, Nina, around the room, and there was tons of people. It's a huge room. Obviously, an incredible amount of money went into this. And on the show yesterday, we were talking about the people who went. It's like all of the big right-wing, like Fox News
It's a who's
personalities.
who.
Okay, he's going to go now talking about how his progressives don't get enough money, don't get enough media bias in their favor. I'm going to go ahead and leave it out. It's a change in the topic. Actually, V Radio, if you're out there, you might want to watch that because he starts talking about the progressive left and how they need to change their approach by bringing in the Young Turks. Yeah, I know. But at any rate, that's enough for me. I really wish that Kyle Rittenhouse would settle down, have more reasoned discussion, get away from all the hoopla and the celebrations and the praise. And I'm going to tell you this, Kyle, I doubt you'll ever be on my show, but if you do, I'm not going to spend 30 minutes sitting there praising you, okay? I am a supporter. I defended you. I'm still a supporter, but I'm not going to sit there and stroke your ego all night. You got plenty of that with these guys. Now, if you go to the University of Oklahoma and you lead my team to a national title, okay, at that point, I'll praise you all night long. Like my video, subscribe to my channel.